Hello, all of you beautiful Twitchies watching. Today, we are going to be covering the build for Bacchus. Bacchus does have a little bit of leeway in his room because of the nature of how strong his damage is. He tends to be a little bit mana hungry. He's got some problems there. Not so bad anymore with Watcher's Gift, but still enough to talk about. I'm going to try to put out more builds. It's obviously been a while since I did my last build, but the reason why was because things were changing so rapidly. It was hard to get out a build, and then by the time you got it out, it would change the next day because Season 2 was so rapidly changing. Now that Season 2 is kind of, toning down, we're going to be able to get into these builds, talk about the key gameplay features. I'm not going to probably do the 30-40 minute walkthroughs of the characters anymore because basically it's the same content as Season 1, right? Nobody's skills really changed, and so the way you play them is still the same. But I'm going to make sure to talk about key features of the god, all that important stuff that you need to know. So, step 1, let's get ourselves right into this build. Bye. By the way, I love that skin. Best skin ever. So, what are you getting on Bacchus? Well, level 1, you're doing a typical support start. A lot of people right now still aren't getting Watcher's Gift. You have to get Watcher's Gift, especially on Bacchus because of the mana regen, right? 5 NP5 plus the 5 mana you get for the creeps dying is a lot of mana on Bacchus. Bacchus, as most people know, is fairly mana hungry. It's the best item for Bacchus. It's the best item for all supports right now. The only exceptions for not getting Watcher's Gift would be Bluestone Pendant on some Woojer supports. But he's a Guardian. You can't even get Bluestone Pendant, so you're getting Watcher's Gift. No questions, no ifs, ands, or buts. No Vanguard. I was a big fan of Vanguard at the start of Season 2 because it was really strong, but now Watcher's Gift is the way you're supposed to be going. Bacchus has an option to go Shoes of the Magi or Traveler Shoes. You can go either. They're both strong. It depends on your playstyle. It depends on what you want to do. Traveler's Shoes, which are getting nerfed in like 1 or 2 days, basically. All they're really doing is taking away the XP portion of this shoe and minus 10 magical power. The minus 10 magical power doesn't really matter to you. The minus 50 experience does matter to you as a support, which means all you're getting from this item instead is gold. So if you don't get it and the other support does, you're not going to be falling behind in levels because of it. You'll just fall a bit behind in gold, which you might be able to make up if you go Shoes of the Magi because you won't have to back as often because you'll have more mana. You'll have more damage. You might be able to have higher kill potential. I prefer Shoes of the Magi on Bacchus. I know Jeff Hidla prefers Shoes of the Magi on Bacchus. Some people are uncomfortable with them, but think about going them. Try it out, test it out, see how you like it. Both shoes work, especially after the patch though. Lean towards Shoes of the Magi. Going into our core build, we have Sovereignty, of course. Why is Sovereignty our first major item we always get on support? One, it has health. Health early is the best stat you can possibly get for defense. 2, it has physical protection. Physical protection you need early because everything in the game does physical damage, and the majority of the enemy team is probably going to be physical damage. Also, it has the Aura, which gives HP 5 for your team, magical protections. The Aura is not that great early. That becomes better later with the magical protections, helps against the middle laner. It's just not that great early. I'd rather have it switch with the Heart Word. Now, one variation that you can go from Sovereignty, which I do like, if you want to go a more selfish build, and it's really not even that selfish, because that aura is not that big of a deal for your team, you can go Mid-Guardian Male, which we have down here in our defensive things. It's only 150 gold more. It gives us 350 health, right? So that's 150 more health, which is really strong early, and it also gives us 5 more physical protections. So what do we lose? We lose the aura, right? We lose the HP 5 and magical protections, but instead we gain this passive, which is very strong throughout the entire game, which is that when you're hit by a basic attack, there's a 30% chance that you'll slow your enemy's movement speed and attack speed by 30% for 2 seconds. That's a really strong passive. Especially towards the early stages of the game where the attack speed isn't that fast, you're really hurting them and they're attacking super slow. I'm a big fan of Mid-Guardian Male. I sometimes get it instead of Sov. Maybe get Sov later once their mages are really turning on. Your second major item that you're going to get after Sov or Mid-Guardian Male is Heart Word. Pretty much always get this after your physical defense item. It is arguably the strongest item in the game right now for support. 300 health, which is a ton. 60 magical protection, which is a ton. It's only 2100 gold, and it has the best aura in the game for you as a support. 20 more physical protections and 20 MP5. That is insane. It is such a good item. It's the best item that support has ever had since like original Sovereignty in Season 1, right? After that, the build gets a little bit more relaxed. Magi's Blessing, of course, because it's so strong, helps you secure objectives. And then you have leeway. I'm a huge fan of Spirit Robe right now. Nice protections overall. It gives you good cooldown reduction. The passive is really strong. It makes you mitigate more percentage. And with Bacchus, having that extra percentage mitigation on top of your percentage mitigation is incredibly strong, and you take like 0 damage while that's up, especially if you can get Shell of Absorption. Which brings us, of course, into our actives. You get Wrath of the Gods, and you have your situational active open. They have healing. You get Weakening Curse. Don't get Blink. I'm taking it out. No, do not get Blink on Bacchus. That was a Season 1 thing. Shell of Absorption, if you don't need a Weakening Curse, or a Heavenly Agility if they have a bunch of slows. If they have a Poseidon, Bastet nonsense, get Heavenly Agility to get your team out of the Cats and the Whirlpool Kraken combo. Something I did not mention at the start of this video when we were talking about Watcher's Gift. When you buy Watcher's Gift at the start, I'm seeing a lot of people still get mana potions. Do not get mana potions with Watcher's Gift. Watcher's Gift, 800 gold. Tier 1 Hog, 300 gold. You grab 2 wards, you throw them out there, you back, right? You grab your 2 wards, you back. After you put them out, the game hasn't started yet, you grab 3 health potions, and you're going to get 3 multi-potions instead of mana potions. Multi-potions, you can use at the same time as your healing potion, and you're going to be getting the double health regen. It allows you to play more aggressive in the lane. You don't need the extra mana because of how strong the Watcher's Gift is for your mana right now. That's a nice change that a lot of people will start to realize, and it's going to help the support a lot in the early laning phase. It's very strong. Getting into Bacchus' abilities, looking at his passive, the Drunkometer, this used to be his big mana dive where he'd lose all his mana because you're using Chug so often. Not so bad anymore. Chug got a huge buff and it's very strong right now. So, you drink and you drink and you drink and you get tipsy. You're taking 7% less damage and you gain 10 magical power. Cool beans. You get smashed, you're taking 14% less damage and you're gaining 30 magical power. Now that is incredibly strong. Now that percentage less damage is also fantastic because when you use Chug, Chug is giving you upwards of 35 protections at the end when you rank it all the way up, and it's giving you 41% of your Drunkometer. So that doesn't matter to you, right? Because at the end it costs 140 mana. You keep Chug at level 1 for as long as you can because it gives you 33% of your bar and only costs 40 mana. 40 mana! It is super cheap. It is super effective. Keep Chug at level 1. I typically get Chug at level 4. That's when you're going to get your first point in Chug, and that's when you're pretty much getting your last point in Chug. Don't rank up Chug until the very end of the game, and then the protections will help you towards the end in team fights. Belly Flop, this is the ability you get at level 1. It does the most damage, and it's your getaway skill at the same time, and it will pop up the creeps, which helps them not do as much damage to you. Okay? You rank this skill up second, right? Or you get it level 1, and then you rank it to max second. But before the mid-harpies, you want to get this to level 2, okay? So your progressive order is Belly Flop level 1, Belch of the Gods level 2, Belly Flop level 3, Chug level 4, and then you get Belch of the Gods in your ultimate every time that you can. Why do you get Flop level 2? Because when you flop on the mid-harpies, if you don't have level 2 belly flop for them, you're not going to be able to flop and then hog them. You'd have to flop and then auto attack each of them one time and then hog, and you won't have enough time to do that. So make sure you get belly flop rank 2 for the mid harpy secure. Belch of the Gods, this is a stun if you have your Drunkometer up, which you should always have it up because of how cheap Chug is. It does a lot of damage, honestly. It does a lot of damage. It has a healing debuff on it. And it's pretty consistent damage now. You cannot be knocked up in Belch of the Gods like you used to be able to, which means Bacchus is very strong against characters like Geb. Intoxicate, pretty much the best support damaging ultimate in the game. People will argue, what about like Ymir? Well, Ymir you have to channel it up and you have to sit in it, and it has more potential damage, but Bacchus is instant. You can't avoid it. And it provides an 8-second crowd control where you're drunk. You combine that with the Shibalanke ult, where if somebody's moving and they're stunned and you cannot stop walking while you're intoxicated, it makes your character move. It also gives you a power debuff for 5 seconds. Kind of cool, who cares? Not a huge big deal on support. So, who do we want to play Bacchus against in lane? Well, like we said with Belch of the Gods, this does not stop you anymore when you get knocked up, which means he works very well against Geb. Very strong against Geb. Very strong against Woojer supports. He tends to do very strongly against them. He's also very strong against any ADC that doesn't have a getaway skill, or pretty much any ADC, period, because of how strong the belly flop is for initiation. A character you wouldn't necessarily want to play Bacchus against is Ymir. Ymir freezes your Belch of the Gods, and you get out cleared. Athena, not necessarily a god you want to go against either, because she just taunts you out of your Belch, and it's the same kind of concept. So, what are we looking to do on Bacchus throughout the game, right? How are we playing Bacchus throughout this entire game? Well, you're looking to be really, really frontline initiation, right? So, belly flop, we were talking about it earlier, it is a knockup. Knockups don't have any DR on them, so they don't get reduced for how many times you use them, and you can't beads out of it. So, you're using your belly flop in team fights on key targets. You want to land on the ADC or the mid laner, the jungler if it's an assassin. You pop them up with that, and your team can blow them up before they even get down off of that, and they can't use any actives. They can't do anything to stop that from happening unless they preemptively beat your belly flop, which is not going to happen 99% of the time. Intoxicate. Make sure you're using your Intoxicate on as many people as you can. You jump into the team fight in the middle of 4 people, just hit your ultimate immediately. That CC that it puts on them, Intoxication, is really disorienting, and almost nobody wants to use an active on it, which means they're going to be missing a ton of auto attacks, a ton of abilities, strictly because they want to save their beads for a hard CC. Quick word on Chug. Make sure that you're fully drunk before you go into a fight. After you initiate the fight, use your belly flop, use your Intoxicate. That's when you want to pop your Chug, because your Chug gives you those 35 extra protections on your physical and magical, and that's going to help you live through a team fight very well. You don't want to use Chug really before you go into the team fight, because by the time you use it and then go into the team fight, the 6-second duration is going to be almost over. You want to use it right after you initiate the team fight, preferably after you use Intoxicate. You want to make sure you get your Intoxicate off on as many people as you can. What ADC would you like to lane with in a Bacchus? So that's a question we get asked a lot. Well, as Bacchus, you want to lane with an aggressive ADC that has pretty good lane clear. My personal favorite with Bacchus is Anher. Bacchus pops somebody up, Anher throws the pillar behind him. The second that they come down from the Bacchus flop, you impale them into the pillar. Plus, you can hit the creeps all in the meanwhile on the way to hitting their character, right? That's my preferred character with them. Other aggressive characters work. Xbalanque is a very strong combo for team fights because of the Intoxicate Xbalanque ultimate combo. Those are the 2 gods I would like to preferably use with the Bacchus. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it helpful. I'm hoping to release at least 1 or 2 builds every week from now on. That's my new plan. I'll have a jungle A through Z video out tomorrow. I know you guys want another one of those, and I've been working on getting a lot of stuff out. I'm working on a lot of content, so I hope you guys are enjoying it. Please subscribe if you guys enjoy it. And as always, have a twitchin' day, y'all.